Gurur Gurur Vishnu, Gururevo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, last week we covered a series on the sutras that helped us to know 5 or 6 sutras that you have done. We discussed about it, and especially we discussed about Mirabai. Mira, a great mystic and a spiritual master. And the Patanjali has been so kind to guide us. Come on, we have many ways. You don't get it, you get it from the first, second, third. So you see that the last sutra that we have done, which is Ishwar Pranidhana Dva, and we understood that we can reach to the state of the samadhi or highest meditation by love, the path of devotion, path of surrender. And we understood that path of surrender through understanding the life of Mira. There were many great mystics. There was another great mystic, known as Rabia. So Rabia was living in our Himalayan state of Kashmir, 1,000 miles away. A guy went to him and asked her, who am I? Rabia said, okay, why don't you take rest? You traveled 1,000 miles. I will answer your question tomorrow in the morning. Next morning, out of her cottage, she was searching something under the tree. So the guy realized our intellect. Sometime, you see the beard guy are crazy guys. So you have your own opinion. So this Rabia, great master. So she was searching something under the tree. So the guy already picked up a lot of her behaviors and attitude. She was totally intoxicated in bliss. So the guy woke up and he saw the Rabia was searching something under the tree. What you are searching? Needle. I lost my needle. Where you lost the needle? In my cottage. So why you are searching under the tree? A message was clear. But the guy did not understand. Guy said, what a crazy woman you are. Rabia said, this is what I'm saying you. You have come here to know the answer who you are. And you have traveled 1,000 miles. You have traveled 1,000 miles to find out who you are. Maintain awareness and alertness. My honey, my money, my house. I am searching happiness there. The message of yoga is very clear. After learning even for 2 hours, in my intellect says, I got it, I got it. Yes, this is the way. And after 2 hours, the mind returns back, searching the same happiness outside. No, I should not do my work. Who said you don't do your work? Do everything in your life, whatever you are doing. But The mind should remain focused and aware on the self. If it does not happen, do yoga for 50 years. Ultimately, we are there. Then we don't discover how to think and speak and work in peace, in happiness, in love, in wisdom. Are you getting it? So simple. I have to redirect my mind. Can you enter into the state of emptiness in one day? No. 24 hours, moment to moment. My mind is going there? Yes. I will give a class, it will pay me, done. But happiness inside. Maintain your awareness. I'm eating pasta, that gives me happiness, just become aware. No. Remember the principle eat to live, live to eat. Your worries, the mind that is running, will stop. Why I laid the foundation. So we have to know what exactly is this real self. We have been talking a lot about it. Huh? Goal of emptiness, Patanjali says, when you empty your mind, the knowledge of the real self is revealed. So now the master is answering, what exactly is the real self? What is real self? What are the attributes of the real self, if there are, and how to name that real self? So we have 4 or 5 sutras pertaining to that. We miss it. We said, okay, empty the mind. When? After 20 years? No. Emptiness here and now. But if we do not understand what exactly is the real self, John pointed in the very beginning, we move to the center. So, what is that center of my existence? What is my true nature? Once you understand what is my true nature, then the life becomes most beautiful. With or without honey, with or without money, with or without body, with or without thought, with and without speech, with and without action. So, the first thing, as John pointed out in the very beginning, that is unchanging reality. The moment I find the change, I become aware real self is not there. Now we come to the first sutra. Before going to the first sutra, understand one point, whether it is tantra, whether it is mantra, whether it is yoga, mindfulness, meditation, all comes from the same tradition. The goal is to find out what exactly is the real self, how to find out, and the moment you discover that real self means the mind reveals that knowledge, it is irreversible. What is the meaning of irreversible? Because real self is of the nature of the happiness. So, what happens when you wake up in the morning after a deep sleep? Happiness. You are eating pasta, not for the sake of happiness, but the happiness inside. That happiness expresses itself in eating pasta. That happiness is expressing itself in talking to your honey. Maybe your honey is so cruel. Just an example. It is not. So, what happens? You are expressing happiness. Your happiness remains intact. It cannot be changed by the outer circumstances, whatever you do, what you don't do. Yoga is the journey of that real self, my friends. So, because we are dictated, superimposed by the false self, that is why I am not able to find it. First point. Then I will go to the sutras. Another example. Our master says that real self is self existent. Means what? It doesn't need anyone to exist. As an individual consciousness, well, we say individual consciousness, individual soul, individual self. There are a lot of words. Jiva. In Sanskrit, we say jiva. This individual consciousness, I claim this is me. This is what I am. And this I am depends on five koshas. We study five koshas, but for what? You see the misconception. We study five kosha because it is the individual self, and that individual self carries with it stress, suffering, duality, conflict, constant challenges in my life. And then there is a real self. Again, I'm going to the John. I like that. You see that it comes by intuitive thought. Center. That center is the center of the real self. That is self existent. That does not change. And five koshas, do you think it changes? It is constantly changing. Body is changing, breath is, life is changing, mind is changing, intellect is changing, ego is changing, ignorance is changing. So do you see the difference between the two so that we can make a point? Individual self constantly changing. It is dependent. When I say where I am sitting, I am sitting here. So what is my reference point? Body. Look at it. Am I the body? No. But still I say that I am the body. It is a false self. So when we discover why we study, with the five koshas together, we say, I am individual self. I hate you. I like you. From where it has come? From the mind. What is the real self? At the center. Self existence, self luminous, all pervading, independent of the mind, independent of the five koshas. Did you get some clue, some idea? That is why we study five koshas. That is why we study body. So that is why we have to study anatomy and physiology of yoga, not anatomy and physiology of modern science to find the real self. We should study. I'm not against any knowledge. Yoga is not against any type of knowledge. Did you get it? The 2 points? Individual self and the real self. Yoga is the discovery of the real self. I start studying through modern science, anatomy, and physiology how to keep the body healthy. It is a part of the individual self. It is causing the ignorance. We have to remove this ignorance. Are you getting it? Are you clear? Individual self, real self. Are you in peace? Are you calm now? Become aware of it. Check. Is this calmness independent of the five koshas? Yes. So then what happens? Body has a pain, acute pain. That false I says, I am the body, then I have the pain. Five koshas. That is why we study five koshas. So why it does not happen? Because we are heavily conditioned by the culture, by our daily routine, by the dogma, by belief, by religion. So those thoughts constantly haunts our mind and we miss the real self. Candy, red color. What is the essential element in that candy, which is red in color, which has a different shape and size that I like or dislike? Sweetness. Sweetness never changes. Even if I say I like this candy, I don't like this candy. Candy is the outer cover, that is the body of a candy. Do you see? Body of this candy here. This body cannot lead me to the permanent happiness. Just giving a slight example. But this Patanjali says we are living, we claim that this false self or individual self is my real self, which is constantly changing. Again, going back to what John said, whatever is constantly changing at the periphery, that is why we say five sheet, the outermost sheet, second, third, fourth, fifth, and center. We don't live from the center. If you don't live from the center, you are constantly, nobody can find out the permanent happiness, peace, and love and wisdom in my life. That is 100% clear. Today I am happy with the body, tomorrow I am not. Today I am happy with the sleep, tomorrow not. You see, what is the characteristic of the sleep? Sleep belongs to five koshas. Waking state belongs to five koshas. Stress belongs to five koshas. Anxiety belongs to five kosha. Pleasure belongs to five kosha, not to me. My nature is real self. That is the journey of the yoga, oh, my friends. That is the journey of yoga. Now pick up the 24th Sutra, how Patanjali helps us to understand so that we can. What is Klesha Karma Vipaka Ashai Para Mrashta Purush Vishesha Ishwaraha? So he is guiding us, he is telling us. Do you want to know about the real self? One thing you should understand about the God. What? If God is different than me, then there cannot be any God. This is what yoga says. Did you understand what I'm saying? The smartphone is different from me, and the smartphone is a dead matter. I am conscious. I am pure consciousness. Do you understand that point? Pick up that point. I am conscious. I want to know God. So if the God is different than me, forget about this God. I don't want that God. Who is saying? All our masters are saying. This is the first point we should understand. Now go a little deeper. Klesh karma vipak ashaye. What he is saying? Klesh. Klesh means affliction, suffering. Karma vipak, the result of the actions. Results of the action. Tomorrow I will meditate and I will be happy. So I'm performing an action, I will be happy. But what happened tomorrow? My mind is disturbed. I cannot succeed in meditation. So what Patanjali is saying? That real self is beyond all our actions, good or bad. Results of the good and bad actions. You see the pointer to the emptiness. Klesh karma vipak ashaye paramrishtaha, aparamrishtaha, untouched. That real self is untouched by all our actions, thought, speech, and action. Where my action takes place? Remember again, false self, individual self. Where is that individual self? Made up of the five koshas: body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, thought, speech, action, all are done by this false self. Clear? Are you becoming clear? So, real self is beyond. The real self is beyond all our thought, speech, action, results of an action. Klesha, karma, vipa. And he is beyond. That real self is beyond all the sorrow and suffering. Because if I do not understand, how my mind can approach? Now, I normally ask people, do you have stress? Who doesn't have a stress in the world? They become philosopher, but they don't look inside. I'm asking you, are you having a stress inside? Who doesn't have a stress in the world? So we should have a right way of thinking. This is what yoga teaches. If you have a proper right, the way the masters are thinking, you start thinking in that way, 50% of the problem goes away. So we are understanding this sutra. Klesh, karma, vipaka, ashaye, aparam, rishta, untouched. So now see that, think. There is a real self. Not touched by actions means you are not a doer and the enjoyer. See that? Oh, so doer and the enjoyer belongs to the false self. Yes. That real self is not a thinker. Okay, so I'm thinking that I have a lot of stress. Obviously, I'm not a thinker. Imagine, just imagine in the beginning. Imagine. And then we will go. Visualize that. Real self is not a thinker. It's a pure consciousness. It is not a doer. It is not an experiencer. It is not looking for pleasure outside in the world. So, what is that? It is of the nature of the pure consciousness. So, Patanjali says, Purush Vishesha. He is a special individual that you can say Ishvara. Ishvara is the word used for God. Where is that Ishvara located? In the heaven? I haven't seen the heaven. But if the God is omnipresent, then he has to be in the hell also. If it is all pervading, then he has to be in the hell also. Do you agree? But I want to get out of the hell. I have not seen the hell. I have not seen the heaven. So no blind belief, a clarity, understanding. So that real self is the spatial being. Why he says spatial being? Because it is different from the individual self. Are you clear about the individual self? I, when you say I, when Leslie says I, that represents the individual self with the five koshas. That is the false self. We have to drop this false self to reach to the real self. And that real self is nothing but spatial being. What is the name of the spatial being? Ishvara. Don't stop there. We have to go deeper. We have to find out why our masters uses the word Ishvaraha. Spatial being, Purusha, spatial Purusha. Understand the word Purush. You see, Pur, Purusha. Pur, Purusha. You got it? Two words. Pur, Purusha. Right? So we have many cities in India. Their suffix ends with the Pur. Nagpur. Beautiful town. Saharanpur. Ya Kanpur. So, what is the meaning of Purusha? The real self that dwells in the city of five kosha. Do you see that? Understand that. What a beautiful. They have chosen the word so carefully. That is why we need a teacher to learn and listen from a teacher. It will not happen from the books. Do you understand? Purusha, Pur, Nagpur, Kanpur, Saharanpur, Pur. They are different counties in the cities, in the towns. So, real self, what is the city of that real self? Body, mind, intellect, ego, thought, speech, actions, ignorance, stress, suffering, all that belongs to that city in which the real self dwells. Did you understand? I believe that you will never forget. Oh, real self dwells in the city. Mind, you are making me crazy? Hell with you. Drop the mind. You are a part of the city. You are not the part of me. So, the journey of yoga is upgrading, updating our life. It is upgrading. You upgrade your smartphone, you upgrade your house. My son had he became totally American within a year. Kids learn very fast. He said, no, we'll have a starter home and then the second home. And now every year he says, no, now we let us upgrade our phone. Ask yourself, have you upgraded your life? 10 years ago, same stress. Today, same stress. Have you updated your life? Who will upgrade? Life is full of miseries. I married, divorced, and married again to be happy. I wanted, I bought a new house to be happy, but again, same problem. That belongs to false self. Pur, city. City is not you. Real self. Real self, my friends. Our master says we have to embark a journey with a clarity, with a clear intellectual understanding. We have to lay a foundation. So it means what? My expectation must meet the knowledge of the real self. Where lies the real self? Inside. What expectations I have? Oh, yeah, Lara should appreciate me. For example, just one example, expectation. Once I drop all the expectations coming from the individual self, the mind is empty here and now. You need not to do anything. Now, after all, I am a human being. I should have expectation. Then continue to suffer. You have tried hundred of times, isn't it? Haven't you tried hundred of times? Millions of times? So, should I stop living? Wrong approach. This is now understand the four factors that makes you clear. What are the four factors in this sutra? Ishwar is free from klesha. First thing that Ishwar is just the real self, the special being. The real self is different from the false self, and that real self is free from suffering, sorrow, feeling of insecurity, anxiety, duality, conflict. And where it is located? Inside me, in the city. I just explained. In the city of the body, mind, intellect, ego, thought, speech, and action. First characteristic. Second, karma. That real self is neither the doer nor the experiencer. That is why we are looking for the state of emptiness. You look crazy. I'm listening to you. I'm a listener. I'm a doer. That will be a natural question, isn't it? I'm a doer. I'm a listener. I logged on at the right time. I'm eater. I eat my food. I walk. Immediate answer. Immediate cause does not solve our problem. Go to the second cause. Okay, you are the eater. Who eats? Tell me. My mouth, tongue, teeth. Oh, so you are the teeth. You are the tongue. Very good. Okay. So I will start saying you, my teeth. How are you? We stop thinking. So the master says that real self is free from doer in the experience. He cannot be the doer. He cannot be the experiencer. Take any example. The moment you claim that you have done this, it means you are the doer. You cannot be the doer. The city, water supply in the city, energy supply. You cannot be them. The city, you cannot be. It's a wrong identification. That is ignorance. Are you understanding? Second cause. We have 7 causes of ignorance. I'm only taking up the second cause. First, I claim I am the body as if I am the city. First level. Second level of ignorance. So real self is free from doer and experience. And third, what is the characteristic of the real self? It is not affected by any result that comes to you by doing any action. You eat something, you have constipation, means the result of eating is constipation by eating a certain food. But you ate the food for the sake of propertization from the energy, and the stomach gave you, GIT gave you the constipation. So, this result of every action does not depend wholly on me. There are many other factors, and those factors are present in these 5 bodies. Hence, that real self is free from the results of any action. That is what the aparam rashta, real self, is untouched by the fruits of action. And the fourth factor, free from any limitation. Why? It is pure consciousness. It is all pervading. So when I discover that real self in me, what happens? Permanent peace, happiness, love, wisdom. That is the goal of yoga. That is what the masters are constantly saying for the last 10,000 years. Are you getting it? Again, remind yourself, spatial being, Purusha. Why he used the word spatial? so that our same ego understands that the way I'm considering I'm the individual self that depends on the body, breath, mind, intellect, thought, speech, action, doer, enjoyer is not me. So then who am I? I am the spatial being Purusha. The Purusha means the one who dwells in the city. Who dwells in the city? Real self. And what is the city? Body, mind, intellect, thought. That is what happens. You have a water supply, you have electricity, energy supply, huh? You have internet supply, you have your house. So outer house is your body, energy supply, breath, huh? Look at this. No, 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 you are not there. So this is the first part of it. Now let us understand Ishvara. What is the meaning of the word Ishvara? We have understood Purusha. The root word that is prefix mean ish, and the suffix is vara. Ishvara. Two syllable, two sound. Ishvara. Ish means capable, owner, ruler. And the second word, vara, means excellent, by right choice, by blessing. So that real self constantly makes a right choice, is 100% capable to give us the peace and happiness. We are not interested. Did you get it? Ishvara, Ish means capable, owner, ruler. Second root, Vara means excellent, best, choice. Ishvara is a being that is formless, endowed with all the power, qualities, and knowledge. That is why we say Shiva is Ishvara. So simply by saying Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva is the originator. I keep the image of the Shiva in my house. Blessing will pour down. No blessing will happen. Why? Is Ishvara a dead being? Is the Shiva not looking at you? That you make yourself crazy every day? Nothing will happen. Be very clear. I have a wonderful friend here in Arizona. Give me the most powerful mantra. Think of it. Am I powerful to accept that mantra? No. She sent me 4 emails. Ultimately, I said Om Namah Shiva is the most powerful mantra. No questions, no further questions, please. And she is still suffering from stress. Do you understand? Ishvara is a being formless, endowed with all the power and the knowledge and the wisdom. That is why the Shiva is also known as Ishvara. Understand that all the qualities of the Ishvara, there are basically 10 qualities. And all the qualities has nothing to do with these 5 koshas, endowed with these qualities. You can just go through it. Otherwise, the entire session will be focused only on these qualities. How come? So I'm leaving that part. The Ishvara that we are is a spatial being because he is not affected by. Now go to the second chapter of Patanjali. He is not affected by 5 kleshas. Do you remember the 5 kleshas? Avidya, Asmita, Rag, Dvesh, Abhinivesh. Why the first chapter is the highest? It is for the seekers who are already ready, prepared, ready to contemplate, devote, with a sincerity to reach to the real self. So that's why he simply referred kleshas. But if we want to understand kleshas, ignorance. Now understand in a simple way and contemplate at least for a week, every day. Avidya, lack of awareness of reality. Simple meaning. Another meaning is ignorance. Ignorance means not knowing my real self and claiming this individual self is me. Are you getting it? Huh? Simple. Avidya means not knowing who am I, what is my real nature. Master says you are Ishvara, but you don't know you are Ishvara. That is why you have a problem. That leads to second sorrow and suffering. So I don't know who I am. Then I claim that I'm the doer, I'm the experiencer, and I have lot of problems. They belong to the individual self. They belong to the city, not you, not you, that you live into the city. Avidya, asmita, that gives rise to asmita, the false I. The moment I have I-ness, now see the other part of it. Such a beautiful way to understand that. The moment I am, then what happens? I am different than you. This is ignorance. Root cause is ignorance, not knowing my nature. So now, the moment I separate myself from the entire world outside, then what happens? What happens in the mind? Likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment. Do you see? Klesha, attachment and detachment, likes and dislikes. Then what happens? The fifth klesha, because of lot of likes and dislikes that I live with along with the false self, then my mind and intellect 100% sits in the body. It claims for every moment that I am the body. These are the five kleshas, causes the suffering. Ishvara is beyond that. I need to understand. So now see the doer, because of the klesha, we become the doer and the experiencer. How come? Just think of it. Think. I want to do what I like. Maybe you like me 5%, that's why you are listening to me and tolerating me. Is it possible that you dislike me and you are still listening to me? The answer is no. So it means the doer and the experiences is created by the likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment, and the entire process is taken over by the individual self that is known as the false self. Why there is a false self? Because of ignorance. What is ignorance? Not knowing my real nature. Ishvara, that Purusha is away, transcends, different, separate. Where it is located? Within all of us. Discovery of that by the principles and the practices of yoga leads us to awakening. You can find the answer, but yes, I'm the real self. Ask a question to yourself. I'm a real self. Real self is permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and the wisdom. Then why I'm suffering? Answer goes to the ignorance. Five kleshas. First, ignorance. Why I am suffering? I have $1 billion in my saving account, but I don't know that I have it. I'm not aware of it. I don't know. Don't know means ignorance. Not knowing I have it is the problem. Meditation helps me to know that. Because I don't know it, so I continue to live in stress, suffering, days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years. I try to solve the problem of sorrow, suffering, insecurity, but still it continues. Why? I'm trying to find the solution with the individual self, not with the real self. That is why we have to study yoga. Are you getting it? Every day, waking up, sleep, and dream. Every day, some likes and dislikes. I like my honey, you are wonderful. I dislike my honey, you are worse. Do you see the pattern? The mind is following. So I'm doing the same thing days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years, but expecting a different result. I'm expecting a permanent happiness doing the same stuff again. And how it is possible? Do we have some intellect to examine? No. Ignorance. Yes. Yoga. Simple process. So, first I have to think of it. Think of it. Think of it. Think of it. What should I do? Vivekananda says when we practice meditation, practice. Do you remember? What is the practice Patanjali says? Regular practice with wisdom, with understanding, not with misunderstanding. So what Vivekananda says, when we practice meditation regularly, we accelerate our evolution in a few years. The option goes to the lowest level of a seeker, few months, medium level of a seeker, or a few hours of earthly existence meant for the highest level of a seeker. What a beautiful understanding. Huh? I can update and upgrade my life either in few hours. I have understood it clearly. I sit in meditation, no expectations. Mind has dropped all the expectations. It is already empty. It reveals the knowledge of reality in few hours. But still I misunderstand. I'm living in ignorance. Then few months, I'm living in extreme ignorance. Few years. Still, after a few years, if we follow the journey. What a beautiful understanding, Swami Vivekananda. They have given the different expression, but the goal is the same. And in the second chapter, if you believe Patanjali is right, what he says, tapaswadhyay ishwar pranidhanani kriya yoga. What is the result? Klesh tanu. All the afflictions minimizes, leads to the highest state of meditation. So my suffering starts reducing, dropping, dissolving, being destroyed by the regular practice of meditation. If it is not, ask the teacher why it is not happening, how it should happen, if it is true. Don't be so serious. We are understanding. Understanding is required. So, so the master says, who can be everywhere? Now, what is Ishvara? Another way to understanding. Who can be everywhere? Real self. Who can be present at all the times? Real self. Who can be present within every human being? Real self. It means that real self can never be present with a form. And this form is the body. Body is the city. I'm not the body. The moment I see the name in the form, it is the part of the world. It is not the part of my real self. Finished. That is the real self. That is the Ishvara. That is the Purusha we are talking about. When these masters write their text, first thing to understand that majority of these masters write for themselves. They do not intend to become the best-selling author. They don't have any motivation outside. They enjoy writing for themselves. Why? We must find the cause. Cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. You reach to the ultimate effect. Cause, you have found the clue. You have found the right knowledge. Why? Because they want to know what realization they have stated and explained by the previous masters. Did you get it? They only express themselves to know if they have reached to that state or not. So who is going to study? The previous masters or the contemporary masters? Why they study? Patanjali, you have reached to that state. And then comes the commentaries. That is what I'm guiding you. From the Vedvyasa, Vachaspati Mishra, they are the great commentators of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Did you understand that? Now reverse this process. Lara, John writes the commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutra. What happens? What happens? See that? That is why I stress that we have to study these texts. We have to find out who are the authentic commentators. You see that? Simple. Who already experienced, reached to that stage, says, okay, Patanjali, you are good. Vyasa, one of the greatest masters who founded almost all the principles of Eastern wisdom, has written a commentary on the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Should I study that commentary or the modern authors? Simple. So that is why the three process, I don't know, let me know it. It must continue for the higher level of a seeker. I don't know. Do I know? No. Let me know it. I do not understand. Let me understand. So when I understand, when I start thinking, asking questions to myself, thinking within. Third, when the intellect is purified by all the doubts, no doubt is there, no superimposition is there. Intellect says yes, clarity and conviction. You practice once, only one practice will take you there. Only one practice. You did the practice today, now the happiness is irreversible. Look at it. Are you a spatial being? Now we will go to, it's better to know that all our Upanishads, all our text speaks of the same thing. All our master speaks of the same thing. Shankaracharya ventures to say, once you understand what we say, how do we understand the God? And then after understanding, this master says what he says, Ishvara, I am. I am the Ishvara. I am the real self. God is not found in the hell, in the heaven, and in the location. If it is found in one location, then it is limited by location. Then how can you say that it is everywhere? Do you see that? They have to get rid of those belief, dogma. No, clarity of understanding. See that? Okay. There is another you should also know. I will not go into detail. There are 6 attributes of the Ishvara. There is another way to understand. Either you understand those 10 attributes. What is that? I'm the real self. Real self is at the center. It is known as the Ishvara. It has the 6 attributes. Sarvajnata, consciousness pervades everywhere. The real self is the nature of consciousness. Trapti, satiety, ultimate satisfaction at all time. Suppose that I'm talking to you guys, and at the end of this session, my mind says, oh, I'm not happy with what I taught today. So I instantly realize it belongs to the mind, not to me. Not to me. I'm not the mind. Come ultimate satisfaction. Mind drops running after the objects of the world completely. You need not to make any effort. That is the nature of the real self. Anadi bodha, being beginningless wisdom. That knowledge constantly shines in my intellect about the real self. Hence, beginningless wisdom, swatantra, independent. I feel the sense of independent. I leave the prison of these 5 bodies. And Nityam Alupa Shakti, power that never diminishes, Ananta Shakti. These are the 6. Paris, I'm not going deeper into that. Whenever we have some time, contemplate on that. Now let us come to the 25th Sutra. What is the another characteristics of the real self? Beautiful. One of the most beautiful sutra. Tatra nirtishayam sarvagya bijam. It is the seed. It is the source of all the knowledge. Do you know about Madame Curie, who discovered radium? Have you heard about it? Her? So she said, I was constantly doing research, trying to find out this element, and it happened without making any effort. I don't know whether I was sleeping or not for 5 hours. I got a flash of knowledge. It descended into my mind, and I saw here is the radium. Same thing happens in meditation. Ah, I know. Finished. I know. So look at it. What the sutra says, Tatra nirtishayam sarvagnya bijam. It is the source or the seed of all the knowledge. Means what? I have anxiety. Should I look outside or inside? According to yoga. I have a lot of stress. I hate you, and that hatred gave me the problem. My heart is burning. The knowledge to get rid of that hatred, where it is? Inside. That is why meditation. Understand that. But first understanding, I do not know simple way to understand. So let me understand the hatred. Now go back to the klesha, five kleshas, five causes of suffering. Why I hate you? Because I dislike you. What is the way from where the element and the thought of disliking comes? In the mind. Why the mind hates you? Why the mind created a dislike? Because I feel I am ego. Why I have an ego? Because I see I am the body. Means what? I am the city. I don't know where I am. Purusha. Do you remember Purusha? Kanpur, Nagpur, Purusha. Now I have understood it clearly. Now I practice meditation. Hatred comes again. This is neither me nor mine. With so that understanding is there in my mind, intellect. Intellect is clear. What happens? My mind does not create a chain of thoughts about the hatred or dislike because I'm not there. Then what happens? The knowledge of the reality dawns. It is revealed. What is revealed? Real self, real self of the nature of permanent peace and happiness gone. Summary of yoga. Are you getting it? So, what happens to this knowledge? Because of doubt in the mind, in the intellect, or mind or intellect. What is the meaning of doubt? Do you remember? I have repeated many a times. What is the meaning of doubt in yoga? Doubt means sanshaya, and doubt in yoga means where the knowledge sleeps. Do you remember? When the knowledge sleeps, you have doubt. When you have doubt, you have hatred and love. When you have hatred and love, the mind says, I will continue to live with the likes and dislikes. Why you want to live with the likes and dislikes? Because of the ego, the individual self. You are responsible for your suffering, nobody else. Do you see? When you start thinking in this way, what happens? Are you getting it? There is no doubt that we all have a mind. We are fairly intelligent. We are committed to yoga. We are learning yoga to bring an end to the suffering. Can you follow this process? I'm not saying that I'll bring an end to the suffering. I will bless you. No way. You have to take charge of yourself in your life to reach to the permanent. So first part, tatra nirtishayam sarvagnya bijam. That is the source of all the knowledge. So let us understand from the point of view of one Upanishad. And I find this Upanishad gives this. What Upanishad says? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahma is here means the real self. So what is the nature of the real self? Pay attention. I need your 100% attention. You all are highest level of seekers. So, highest level of seekers understands it clearly. The burden of that anxiety drops down. That duality drops down. There is no doubt about it. Having said that, let us understand this. Satyam means truth. Jnanam means knowledge. Anantam means unlimited, infinite. Yeah, it comes from Tatriyo Upanishad. Pay attention. You need not to practice any meditation. Once you understand, the intellect says, I got it. When the intellect says, I got it, here and now, you will be in meditation 24/7. Here and now. Let us see. Pick up the three words. The word Anantam. First, take up the last word. Ananta means unlimited, infinite. Don't go to mathematics. Sign of infinity. That will not work. Oh, do you know infinity? Yes. Do you know the symbol of infinity? It will not work. Understanding will work. So word Anantam means infinite, infinity, unlimited. So what it means? What it means? It means unlimited in space, in time, and objects. Are you getting it? We are opening up. If there is a space limitation, it means I am here at my home. I am not there with you. Clear? So simple. It is so simple, but if you do not start contemplation, then nothing is going to happen. Where I started, I took up the first word. What is the third word? Anantam. Anantam means unlimited in space, time, and objects. Now, if there is a space limitation, then I am here, I am not there. Are you clear? Who causes this? My ego. But the real self is everywhere. If there is a time limitation, then every object of name and the form begins and ends with the time. I have a birth. I have a death. 29 December 1958. I was born. I don't know when I'm going to die. So whom I'm referring to the body. Do you understand that? If there is a time limitation, then every object of name and the form begins and ends in the time. But I'm not the body. So where is my birth and death? The self is eternal and beyond time. If there is an object limitation, now pick up the third word. From where we started? It takes a long time, but even if you understand and contemplate and reflect again and again, you get to the reality. All the doubts are gone. From where I started? Infinity. So infinity means unlimited in space, time, and object. If there is a space limitation, it means I am here, not there, but the real self is everywhere. If there is a time limitation, then every object has a birth and the death, but the real self is eternal. If there is an object limitation, it means you are. What is the meaning of object limitation? You see how this ignorance works in our life? There is an object limitation. Take an example. I am Girish, I am not Lara. That is object limitation. Why it has come? Because of ignorance. What is all this, the hell we are talking about? There is only one gold. Earring is Christina, necklace is Lara, bangle is John. One gold. That is causes the object limitation. How? Why? Ignorance, not knowing my real self. When we go into deeper meditation with this understanding, knowledge reveals. So real self is the pure existence. Now go to the existence. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Now go to the second part. Existence. Truth means existence. Wave exists because of water. Am I right? So what exists? Wave. What is existence? Water. What exists? Body. What exists is constantly changing. What is the existence? Real self. What exists? Bangle, earring, necklace. What is existence? Gold. Did anything happen to the gold? Nothing. Did anything happens to the water? Whether you have wave and storm and the flood and the tsunami. Nothing. Water remains the water. That is why we use the existence as truth. Satyam, Satyam, Satyam. The existence is consciousness and knowledge is consciousness. Now come to the third. Satyam Jnanam. Jnanam means the knowledge. Knowledge is consciousness. I know you, you know me is knowledge. The knowledge of you and me takes place in the consciousness as it is essential for the knowledge. What is behind that knowledge is consciousness. Consciousness is knowledge. What is real self? Real self is truth, means existence. It is knowledge. It is all pervading, unlimited. What the hell this is? This is me. What is this me? My real self. Why I am suffering? Because I feel I am limited. I am different from Lara, so I have insecurities. For example, why I have insecurities? Because Lara is more beautiful than me. Likes and dislikes. Why the likes and dislikes? Ego. Why ego? Not knowing the real self. Just an example. Look at this. So when I understand with the clarity, meditation is here and now. Now I feel I'm not limited by the object, by the space, by the time limitation. There is no limitation. That is the meaning of this sutra. Tatra nirtishayam sarvagnya bijam. My goodness. Amazing. I am of the nature of consciousness. Look at it. We are real self. No, I don't believe it. Now ask question. Ask the question from where this question has come. From where the doubt has come. From the mind. Right? From the mind. Huh? So do you believe everything what the mind says? You believe it. I know that. When you are in stress, who tells you you are in stress? Mind. Then you believe it. Why you believe it? Because of insecurity and fear. You all are seekers, so I thought instead of teaching you simply, oh, this is the meaning, this is the word, and done. I want you to, these sutras must enter into your head first. So when you constant think in the head, that knowledge will descend down into your heart. 50% of the problem is gone. Why the hell I believe you, my mind? That I don't believe the real self? Pay attention. I believe you will get it. Take the same statement. What? I don't believe what you say. Who says it? Mind. Right? On what behalf the mind says this? That is the answer. I don't believe this is also a knowledge. Right? I don't believe, or I believe. Both are knowledge. From where this knowledge comes from, the consciousness. So the consciousness is behind. Go to that consciousness. Pay attention there. That consciousness is knowledge. That consciousness is the existence. So even when you say, I don't believe, you are using the same real self. That is the biggest problem. That is the puzzle. Did you get, John? Do you see that point? I know who is Lara. I do not know who is Lara. In both the cases, I know. Do you see that? I know. Second statement, I know Lara. I don't know Lara. But first statement, I know that I do not know Lara. Right? I know that I know Lara. I know. I know is first. What the hell this I know is? Consciousness. I know Lara. I do not know Lara is a part of the mind. Mind is a part of the city, part of the individual self. Individual self is superimposed on the real self. That's why I don't know my real self. Drop that. It's a curtain. Remove that curtain. Are you getting it? Leslie, it is as easy. It is the easiest thing to do once you understand. Do you still remember that real self is free from, it is not the doer, it is not the experiences, it is different from the, it is not affected, untouched by the fruits of your action. And then in the second sutra, 25th, we got it. It is the seed and the source of the knowledge that we understood. Okay, then come to the third sutra. And we are talking about the third sutra. We are talking about real self. How Patanjali explains what is this real self. In the 26th sutra is much more beautiful than the other two. Saesha purvesham api guruhu kalin anavachedat. What this Patanjali is saying, is he crazy or we are crazy? One thing is sure, he lives in permanent peace and happiness. So it means I should follow his principle. Is it so simple, Leslie? Leslie, isn't it? So what he is saying, that which is not separated by the time, also the teacher for predecessors. He is the teacher of all the teachers. How come? You have the answer in the previous sutra. What is the answer? He is beyond space-time limitations. So he is everlasting. He is all-pervading. What is that he? He is the real self. Where it is located? In the city inside the body of all of us. That real self is the ultimate teacher of everyone. You know, it happened, Gita, now Gita Var, you can say that it took place in 3000 years ago. So the Krishna talked to his seeker, his friend Arjuna, that I am the teacher of all the teachers. So that I was the real self he was addressing. So Arjuna has a doubt. How dare you say that? You are living in my life at this time. So he is referring about the real self. So I told you a couple of times, we should ask who is the ultimate teacher is. My teacher, then his teacher, then his teacher. Go on finding out. Tradition continues. It goes to Dattatreya. The Dattatreya, my master, belongs to the Dattatreya tradition. So who is known as Dattatreya? Dattatreya is known as the Lord of Yoga. Patanjali is known as codifier of yoga. Dattatreya first wrote the text of Ashtanga Yoga. Just for the sake of information, it is from then Patanjali modified that. Then came the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. Dattatreya, Lord of Yoga. Okay, then who is the teacher of Dattatreya? So our master says that who is the ultimate teacher? John, the ultimate teacher is the real self sitting in you. Oh, that real self is the ultimate teacher? Yes. Now, from today, I'm not going to learn from you, from tomorrow. Why? Do I know my real self? Yes, then need not to learn. You don't know. Then that real self represents your teacher outside. Now understand that. Did you understand that point? Do you have the mind that is calm, that is receptive, that is full of love and care? Do you see with your teacher as a representation of the real self? You are the highest level of a seeker. Otherwise, 200 hours, 300 hours, 1,000 hours. Do you see? Do you move with that love and affection? Why to move with love and affection? You are preparing a ground to receive that knowledge. That is why in every text of yoga, Eastern wisdom, the very first verse speaks about salutation to the teacher, humility. It is not bragging of a teacher. Your perception is that real self that is present within my heart. I am not aware. Hence, the teacher in the front is a human being representing that real self. That is why I should have a humility. I should have lot of qualities to become a seeker so that I receive the knowledge properly. Now see the understanding. My friend normally says at the end of the class, Namaste. So I always imitate. But after then my friend has a lot of differences. I said, what is the meaning of Namaste? I should do Namaste with awareness that real self is present in everywhere. The one meaning of Namaste, Namaha. Do you know the another meaning of Namaha? Not me. Who is that not me? This individual self. Then what is left? Only real self. No, you are a teacher, you taught me, that's why I'm doing Namaste. Otherwise, I have a lot of disliking for you. You are harming yourself. You don't want to learn, leave it. But don't pollute your mind. Don't pollute your mind. You see the point? See the understanding, clarity. So the master says, he, that who? Real self is the teacher of all the teachers. Real self is the teacher of all the teachers. It means what? There is only one teacher. What that means? If I strictly adhere to the principles of yoga, there is only one teacher. I poke my nose into these principles, as if I'm more intelligent. That intellect is part of the individual self. It is not the part of the real self. I deviate from the path. Finished. How many millions are practicing mindfulness daily in our country? Mindfulness in eating. We talk a lot. Mindfulness in eating, mindfulness in walking, mindfulness in talking. The next moment I shout. Mindfulness in shouting. What is this? I'm not criticizing everyone. What the hell this is? Mindfulness in eating, mindfulness in likes, mindfulness in dislikes, mindfulness in hatred. I'm not adhering to the principles of yoga. We need not to worry about others. It is the journey of the self-discovery. I'm just taking, not at all concerned. Many people say, "Oh, this is what I did." Wonderful. Everyone is moving into the path of evolution. Let them evolve until they ask you, until they are ready, until they are a seeker. They will definitely listen to you. Lara was talking the other day that she tried to explain, but she says, "No, not a seeker. Don't worry. Be happy. Thank you. Say this principle is crazy. Don't believe it. But don't say continue to live in suffering." Oh, very good. But again, so that is what, as you evolve yourself, you will find out what to speak, which sutra to speak to the particular person or to a group, how to explain. Because if you are a seeker, you are on the path, you will come to know naturally. And the same thing applies. Once you are learning, you are not a teacher, yoga teacher, but now you know how to respond to your honey. You understand that. So we have done the three sutras. Now, did you understand? I talked about lot of attributes of the real self, all pervading, self existent, untouched by the karma, huh? Untouched by the fruits of action, not the doer, not the experiences. I cannot remember all these things. I have to simply know, here is Lara, here is John, here is a Kate. Done. One word, right? So Patanjali says that one word is Om. Om is my real self. It has nothing to do with release. And the moment you say Om, means what? Tasya vachakah pranavah. Tasya vachakah pranavah. That existence, that real self is designated as Om. Parents designated you as Christina, as Lara, as John. They knew 100% that you belong to them. Leslie, your parents designated you as Brittany, as Kate, as Lara, as. So, we have understood what is real self? Understood. One word, designated Om. So when you say Om Shanti Shanti Om seated inside my heart, I know you. Do you see that? You see the coherent process of Patanjali's sutras to make us understand what exactly is the real self. We have been talking a lot about it. So now we understand. Tasya vachakah pranavah. There are almost 6 or 7 Upanishads that deals deeply with this word Om. You see, the entire journey, they talk of the same principles. They talk of the same principles. That's what I have been saying you again and again. They cannot get out of that principle. Nobody, no master says, I told you that I got an invitation, so that has been rescheduled and postponed. What was that? Theta wave and mindfulness. Theta wave, mindfulness. When I'm doing some research study, it is okay, it is good. But now, why should I add another level of ignorance to those people who are coming to me to learn mindfulness? Do you see that point? I'm not against. I've been a researcher almost for 8 years. A lot of papers are published. And once I realized that that is the end of my scientific research, I stopped in 96, 97. A lot of papers published on asthma, stress management, relaxation, published in, I would say, very good journals. Tasya vachakah pranavah, that designated. When I ask, Kate, do you know Lara? Yes, I know. So Lara has all, no, the Kate has all the information, awareness. Oh, yes, I know Lara. Kate never says that Lara lives in India. She knows it. Same way, when I say, oh, aha, real self. Mind is jumping here and there, Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. No, it will not work. It will not work. Om represents the real self, untouched by, remember, untouched by all the kleshas. It is all pervading. It has no limitation of space, time, and object. Om is the Ishwar. Om is the teacher. Om is the guru. Om is the real self. Om is the seeker. Why it is the seeker? Real self is living in you. So now go back and that wonderful friend of mine, what is the most powerful mantra? Even if I say Om, she starts working on it, but that very knowledge, understanding is not clear about Om. Ask yourself, will anything happen? Nothing will happen. Om, 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 repetition, habitual, conditioning. The mind will follow the same conditioned path, habitual and instinctive journey. So you are doing the same thing again and again and again and again over years, expecting a different result. How it is possible? Why it is not possible? You are not a seeker. Om is the mantra, the expressing sound symbol of the real self. And the real self is the pure consciousness. It contains the domain of the fourth state of consciousness that is known as Turiya. And Turiya is the highest meditative state. A mantra's function is to create vibrations in the inner consciousness. What we do? Let us chant together. Om. Oh, John chants Om beautifully. But the mind is still outside. Why the mind is outside? Because I did not understand what Om represents. Say I continue to chant Lara, I will not get a picture of John. Why? I know it. I know it. Do I know about Om? We have already explained. If we do it with understanding, then the life will change. Om. So sometime I say Om and I used to visualize my master's image. My master, you are sitting deep inside my heart. All the worries disappear. And mantra's function is to create vibrations in the inner consciousness that will prepare us for realization of what the mantra symbolizes. Did you understand? And is supposed indeed to carry within itself. The mantra Om should therefore lead towards the opening of our heart. What is that meaning of opening of our heart? I am dropping the individual self made by the ego causing this suffering to the sight and the feeling of the one consciousness in all beings in this cosmos. It transcends all the three bodies, the physical body, the subtle body. Now there comes the rule of understanding of the three bodies: physical body, the subtle body, and causal body. It breaks the limitation. Only one Om can lead you to the highest meditation and awakening. How many times you say Om, Om, and finished? It doesn't make any sense. It gives me a little bit an aesthetic effect because it's a repetition, so it has become a habit. But it is not giving me the result that I have been looking for, which masters have been saying. Why is knowledge wrong? Or I am not the seeker? Knowledge will never change. Do you see that? John will remain John as a knowledge. John will never become Kate. Knowledge remains same. But if my eyes, I force my eyes to start looking, squinting, and then I see, oh, whether you are a Lara or John. So the problem here of the instruments. What are those instruments? My mind, my intellect, likes and dislikes, ego. Do you see that? Here and now, do you see that? So knowledge never changes. And the absolute knowledge will never change. It remains the same. That's why yoga is relevant even now. So, for the sake of reference, pranava. So he uses the word pranava for the sake of Om. Om is also called the pranava, a Sanskrit word that means both controller of life force and the life giver. That which causes all the pranas to prostrate themselves before and get merged into the real self is also known as pranava. That is why we say pranava, prana, prana, pranava, controller of everything, the entire individual self. And still it gets merged into the real self. It is known as pranava. There are a lot of Upanishads. The Manduko Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, not Manduko. Manduko Upanishad says That self is the nature of syllable Om. Meditate on Om as the self, and you will be awakened. Lot of words. God is the syllable Om. Which God? Remember, Ishvara, not the God of religion. We're not talking about the God of religion. Because Patanjali has to make everything clear. Otherwise, what happened when Buddha was born and he got enlightenment and he saw lot of people doing the customary habitual practices without any change. And in those days, many cult in the dogma were created in India. So he has to break away all the path because he has to give the right knowledge. So first he said Kapila, who lived 3,000 years ago, before me, he said he was a great master. Kapila, the founder of Sankhya Yoga, who lived 3,000 years ago before the Buddha was born. So Buddha has to get rid of these symbolism of images, of image worship, etc., etc. It is because of that he wanted to give the original teaching. He said emptiness of the mind. Kapila said, what Kapila said? Dhyanam nirvishayam manaha. Devoid of all the contents of the mind is meditation or mindfulness. So Buddha taught the same thing. Mindfulness, emptiness, not a big deal. You see, he followed the same tradition. We human beings say Buddha is different, Krishna is different, this master is different, that is different. It doesn't apply here in the journey of yoga. But you see, he left all the symbols, but he kept the Om. You see, he kept the Om. We have to think. I'm doing what I'm doing. It's a Buddha tradition of mindfulness. Do you understand what is mindfulness before you do the Buddha tradition or somewhere else tradition? It will not work. It will work for scientific research, physiological changes. How many times, John, until last year, I was constantly updating myself with the recent updates in science in relationship to the meditation and mindfulness. And then I left it. I used to refer because I'm reading. I'm an avid reader. More than 20,000 research papers were published on meditation, mindfulness, kundalini, whatever you say. In one voice, they say that it induces a deeper relaxation. Whether you say deeper relaxation, whether you say it gives you the alpha spindles in the brain. Some say that it gives you a deeper state of relaxation. Then one deviates little bit. Physiological relaxation. What is physiological? Your breath rate drops down, your heart rate drops down, your pulse rate drops down, you have a homeostasis. And I'm just talking of those terms, which I'm still familiar. I still remember when I was doing those research studies. 20,000 research. Now see that recent updates. When you practice meditation regularly, I don't believe them, but they say if you practice meditation for 5 weeks, there is a mutation in genes. What they say, the word they say epigenetics. They talk about epigenetics, neurogenesis, and neuroplasticity. I have only one request to all of these great researchers who publish 20,000 research papers. They speak in one voice. It induces relaxation, calmness, alpha spindles, neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, epigenetics. It should be replaced. The psychiatric medicine should replace mindfulness if you have 20,000 papers. Why it is not happening? Simply you replace it. Who proves it? You. And you are still continuing with the same stuff. You are creating more illnesses than solution. Why? Simple understanding. It's a common man's understanding. You say coffee gives you relaxation. Obviously, you are not relaxed. Take a coffee. Kate, what you are saying?
Back when you mentioned an Upanishad about the Om.
Kapila. You see that we have 6 organs of Indian philosophy. Sankhya Yoga by Kapila, Master Kapila. The way the Yoga Sutra was written by Patanjali, Sankhya Sutra was written by Kapila. So Kapila said, devoid of all the contents of the mind is meditation.
No, you mentioned an Upanishad about Om.
Oh, Mandukya. Oh, there are a lot of Upanishads, a lot of Upanishads.
I know, I wasn't sure which one you mentioned.
Let me give you only 4 Upanishads. There are more than 50 Upanishads who refers about Om, but you can note down, you can talk greatly to those people. So Mandukya Upanishad, you see that?
Thank you.
Do you see, my friend, so clear? We don't, and we say science has proved that meditation induces relaxation. Come on, I have seen this research paper 50 years ago. Which research? Transcendental meditation. I met Maharshi Mahesh Yogi long back in 84, 85. He gave me 4 big books. Every book contains 2,000 pages, 8,000 pages. They are the collection of more than 5,000 research papers. And every paper says it gives you relaxation. It brings you down. It minimizes your anxiety, your depression, your duality, your conflict. 50,000 research papers until today. So since last year, my mind says I'm not going to keep myself update with these research papers because it is repetitive. And even after repetition, we are doing nothing. That's why I have reduced the contents of my talk on the science. There is no need of it. I don't see there is any need. So if conditional, I need it if I get a good money as a grant in it to do some research study and concluding the same thing. A little here and there. I change the variable in the research protocol, I change it. I do the same practice. I pick up the physiological variables, parameters, protocol of research studies. You have different protocol, I have a different protocol, the practice is the same. The most important question I asked, I don't want to name, we had a long conversation with a neuroscientist from California who published a lot of papers on this. He says that I proved there is a mutation in the gene by regular practice of meditation. I said, I agree with you, but I have one question. You did one practice of meditation. I'm not challenging you. Whatever the practice, it all comes from the tradition. I have one question. What is that question? Can you think of it? How do you know that these 27 subjects are in meditation? How do you prove that? Then only you can say these are the changes comes by the practice of meditation. Do you understand the question? I am giving you a meditation practice, right? You may be in meditation, you may not be in meditation, right? All the parameters I apply, variables, I observe all the physiological changes. So out of 25 people, only 5 people are in real meditation. Others are not. You have noted down you have observed all the readings and the testing, and then you concluded that it is meditation bring these changes. So what should we do? I said, you need a people like me who will prove that your subjects are in meditation. Before you conclude the results of the meditation suggest. They use the word, I was very particular in writing those papers. My research suggests that if people do the practice, it induces a deeper relaxation, alpha spindles, theta waves, physiological parameters changes. We always write suggest. Why? We are not sure. I have left all those. That's a past. Any question that you have? So from today, stick to that in your intellect. This is the real self. When you say Om, mind should go inside. Because see, that understanding helps you to take the mind inside. Because there is not a clear understanding, and then you say Om, the mind is still running outside. So there are two parts, seeking and searching. Searching what? Real self. Seeking, contemplation and reflection, knowledge part. Two parts must go together to succeed.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, Leslie.
So what is your definition then of what real meditation would be? If we're going to delineate between somebody's in meditation versus, wait a second, are they actually in real meditation?
Simple answer, meditation reveals the knowledge of reality, the real self. One. Second definition, you can say your individual self dropped, merged, removed from you. You experience. Now, when I say experience, I will enter into ignorance. Everyone's experience varies from a person to person, depending on the contents of the thought, level of identification, level of ignorance that we have. Now come to the ultimate. I know my real self. Real meditation. I have yet to know the real self. I am still a seeker of meditation. Simple definition. Now I know the real self. What happened? Ignorance has gone. What is that ignorance? Not knowing the real self has gone. So now, when you know the real self, you know we have just explained all the attributes of the real self. You are in permanent peace and happiness. Real meditation, irreversible. Another definition. You see, the masters try to explain, they have been so kind. They say, you don't understand? Okay, let me give you another definition. But they talk of the same thing. Now I have a pain in the body, but I'm still in happiness. Why? Real self, I know real self, and I know that this body is not me. Another definition. Another definition. 1932 Encyclopedia Britannica. It just came to my mind. You know how crazy this mind is. The king of Varanasi, the oldest city in the world, Varanasi, Banaras. So there is a tradition that the king of that Banaras must be taught yoga, must reach to the higher state of meditation before they become the king. 1932 Encyclopedia Britannica, they reported this incident. That's why I'm talking. And then we'll bring an end to this. It just came to my mind when Leslie asked me this question. You see how your mind works? It constantly works in that same one direction. So this king had a problem of appendicitis. 4 doctors from the Britain were called in India. They had to do the operation, surgery. Appendicitis, you already know, unnecessary part the nature has put in our body that needs to be removed. He was a great king. He was a great master. So the British doctor said, we will give you anesthesia. King said, no way. I told you before also. So king said, I will go into meditation. After 15 minutes for 2 hours, you can do anything to this body, but you must complete the surgery in 2 hours. After 15 minutes, doctors were scared because when you are hypnotized with your half-limited knowledge, you should be scared. You may be doctor. So doctor with a knife cut the skin, no movement. They did the surgery in 1.5 hours without anesthesia. After 2 hours, he opened his eyes and asked, did you do the surgery? Yes. Did you do it? You didn't feel it? No. I'm not the body. How can I feel it? Real meditation, Leslie, I can give you 100 examples. Don't you feel? No, I feel something around the belly. There's a little, I feel that you have done something there. That's all.